And in line 20, I decided to output that value to the console. So this is that value, okay, number 56. So what's going on here? So whenever we actually run our project, it's going to actually execute this method here, this main method. So inside of this method, we are creating an object from this tiger class called mySecondTiger, okay, in line 14. And then it's going to actually execute our constructor, okay, our constructor inside the tiger class. So this is our constructor, okay, and then it's going to actually execute these lines of code inside of this constructor, okay. So this is how it's going to actually execute codes inside of our program, okay. So now I want to show you another important point about constructors in Java. So first, let me actually comment out these lines of code here, okay. And now I want to actually create multiple constructors for my tiger class, okay. So as you can see here, I created two constructors here and another constructor here, okay. So now I want to actually execute all of these constructors. So I just need to delete these symbols here in order to allow the compiler to execute these lines of code here, okay. So now I just need to delete these symbols here and here, okay. As you can see here, now I have actually 3 constructors. So now it's showing us an error. Let's actually hover over the error area and see what's the error. Duplicate method tiger in type tiger. So as you can see here, we have 2 constructors with the same name and with no arguments, okay. So this is not right. We need to actually create a different constructor than this one in order to allow the compiler to execute these lines of code here, okay. We cannot create duplicate constructors with the same name and with the same argument type. So here I want to specify that this constructor is going to accept an argument. The data type of my argument is int and the name of my argument is num_a, okay. And then I want to add this number here to the value of my argument, okay. So 56 plus num_a, okay. And now as you can see, we've got 3 different constructors inside the tiger class, okay. So this is our first constructor and this is our default constructor and this is our second constructor. This constructor accepts 2 arguments so that we can actually pass 2 values to this constructor. And the third constructor is this constructor. This constructor accepts 1 argument, and then here in line 19 we are actually adding this number here 56 to the value of the argument here num_a, and then we are actually assigning the result of this operation here to our speed instance variable, and in line 20 we are actually outputting that value to the console, okay. So inside the main class, now as you can see here, I want to actually run my project and see what happens. So if I run my project now, as you can see, this is the value that is outputted to the console. This is a default constructor, okay. So what's going on here? As you can see here, we didn't actually pass any values to this constructor here, okay. Now in line 14 inside the main class and inside the main method, we are actually creating an object from this tiger class. And the name of our object is mySecondTiger, okay. When our project runs, first it's gonna actually execute this main method, okay. And then as you can see here, inside the main method, it's gonna actually execute this line of code here. Here we are actually trying to create an object from this tiger class. So as you can see here, it's gonna actually execute the default constructor for our tiger class, okay. So inside the tiger class, this is our default constructor, okay. As you can see here, this constructor accepts no argument, so this is called the default constructor. And then inside the constructor, I decided to output some values to the console, and that value is this value here, as you can see. And now I want to actually pass 2 values to my constructor here. So here I can actually put number 3 comma number 7, for example. And as you can see here, if I run my project now, let's see what happens. As you can see, it's going to actually output this value to the console. So this value is the result of execution of this constructor here, okay. When we actually create an object from the tiger class, it's going to execute the constructor that we created inside the Tiger class here. Okay, this is our constructor, and this constructor accepts 2 arguments with the int data type. Okay, so we passed 2 numbers, as you can see, 2 integer numbers to this constructor, number 3 and number 7, and then it's gonna go inside this constructor, and then it's gonna actually execute these lines of code here. First, we created a variable called result, and then we tried to actually add the value of these 2 arguments together, and then we assigned that value to this result variable, and then in line 13 we decided to output that value to the console. Number 3 plus number 7 is number 10. Okay, and now as you can see, our third constructor accepts 1 argument, as you can see here. So let's actually pass only 1 value here, and let's run our project again. So as you can see here, it's gonna output this value to the console, number 59. So as you can see here, I passed number 3 to this constructor, and then it's gonna actually execute this constructor here. Okay, this constructor accepts only 1 argument with the int data type. So I passed number 3, which is an integer number, to this constructor here, and then it's gonna actually go inside of this constructor, and then it's gonna execute these lines of code here. In line 19, we tried to actually add number 56 to the value of the num_a argument. So the value of the num_a argument is 3, as you can see here. So 56 plus 3 is 59, and then it's gonna assign that value to the speed instance variable, and then it's gonna actually output that value to the console. So this value is the value of the speed instance variable, and inside the main class, if I want to actually access the value of the speed instance variable and output that value to the console, I just need to type in here system.out.println, and then inside the parentheses I can just refer to the name of my object, my second tiger dot get speed, and then I need to put in a semicolon at the end of my statement. So now if I run my project, as you can see, this value again is outputted to the console. Okay, this value is the value of the speed instance variable of this my second tiger object. Okay, so now if I want to actually create another object from the tiger class here, as you can see, I just need to refer to the name of my class tiger, and the name of my object is my third object, my third tiger. Okay, and then I need to put in an assignment operator here, and then I need to put in this new keyword, and then again I need to refer to the name of my class here. Here I actually use the autocomplete feature of the Eclipse by pressing on the control key plus the space key on my keyboard. As you can see, it's going to actually recommend us these 3 options. The first one is the constructor without no argument. The second is a constructor with 1 argument. And the third one is a constructor with 2 arguments. Okay, we can actually choose between these 3 arguments. For example, if I choose this one, now I need to actually pass in 2 values, for example, number 3 and number 2. And then I need to put in a semicolon at the end of my statement. And now if I run my project, as you can see, this value is outputted to the console, number 5. So number 3 plus number 2 is 5. Okay, as you can see here, this constructor accepts 2 arguments, and here we are actually adding the value of the first argument to the value of the second argument, and we are actually outputting that value to the console. So this value is the result of execution of this constructor here. Okay, or I can even actually pass 1 value to this constructor, for example number 2, and if I run my project now, as you can see, it's going to output this value to the console. So this value is the result of execution of this constructor here. As you can see here, number 56 plus number 2 is number 58, as you can see here. Okay, and I can even actually pass no values to this constructor, and if I run my project, as you can see, it's going to output this value to the console. This is a default constructor. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, and I think that's enough for constructors in this tutorial. And in the other sections of this course, I'll talk more about constructors in terms of other important concepts of Java. Okay, so for now it's enough, and if you have any questions about these constructors, please post the discussion in the course. And thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.